Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. I am your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I am joined by the founder of the NEC Illuminati, the YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar _games. And that is all this week because Nate is not here. Uh, not sure where he's at. He just said, "I ain't doing it. You got this." So it's just the two of
It's
us,
all good.
like the good old days, right?
Yeah.
Started from the bottom,
Um,
and now we're back here.
is that back to the bottom? This is like a broken elevator, is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It starts to go up a little bit, and we grow a little bit, and then it's like bam, right? It's like the
Right
Tower
back
of
down.
Terror.
Yes, that's a good analogy. So I'm excited though, since Nate's not here. I'm assuming I'm gonna like fuck some toys or something. Is that what we do when
Um,
we don't have someone on the show, or
I
am I not fucking
mean,
toys?
we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. We'll
Oh,
we'll, we'll we'll let you fuck some toys, but not this week. This week we got some actual news to talk about. And
oh,
this
exciting.
week actually we kind of glazed over this a little bit in last week's episode. But since last week was mostly about our predictions for Comic Con and the exclusives we were getting, so if you want to know what we think's going to happen, go and watch last week's episode. But if you want to know what we think's going to happen with the new leaks of the Hasbro Selfie series, then stick around because that's what we're talking about this week. We had some leaks showing off not a lot, but a little bit of information regarding the Selfie series. More so, what figures are going to be your options, kind of some visuals that might give us a hint at how the program's going to work. But no one was able to get through quick enough to actually see the logistics of it. So, real quick rundown. Let's go and start with where I have it. Let's start with the box art. So this, I feel like we've already seen this prior to the leaks, but I think they showed it off while they were at Celebration. The idea is the box is going to have that cardboard sleeve. You pull it off, there's a little window, and there's your figure. So if you're an in-box collector, you still have that option. However, now your figure's going to get all dusty because there's no plastic window. Um, More importantly, though, than that is the figures themselves. So let's give it a rundown. Now, this first one I feel like is just a test because it's on here twice, but it has a weird label, so I'm going to say it anyway. We've got Snake Eyes WMW, which I'm not sure what that stands for. Then you have the Ghostbusters male body, Pink Ranger, Red Ranger, Snake Eyes again. Then you have the MCU Black Widow. Then we have MCU Spider Man, MCU Iron Man, a Star Wars Rebel pilot, Star Wars Mandalorian, a Star Wars Rebel Princess Leia, and a Star Wars Stormtrooper. So, at least for the two main lines of Black Series and Marvel Legends, it seems like we're getting three or four options each, and then you get a couple
Yeah,
Power Rangers and then GI Joe. Um,
Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, Ghostbusters is which I mean that one, all those bodies were reused anyway, so it wasn't like it was gonna have a lot
Yeah,
of options. So the fact that it's labeled as
that's
male
fair.
body, I'm like, they didn't have a female body except for the children. I mean, I guess
Shows your
they could be
body.
like, do you want to be Gozer? So looking at these
so
pictures,
am I?
what's your first impression?
Yeah. So I mean, initially we briefly like discussed this idea, and I'm 100% in, and I was in just for the fact that I wanted my own little action figure with my face on it. I didn't really know. I was more like theorizing what there could be. So seeing this laid out makes a lot of sense from each line. Um, I have some qualms with them. Partly with the Power Rangers. I mean, I get it. Pink Ranger, okay, and then like the Red Ranger is kind of like, oh, I'm the leader or whatnot. But if you're gonna solo out a Ranger, I feel like you should have did like the Green or White Ranger. It just to me makes a little bit more sense. But that's just my personal preference. I wanted the Black Ranger. I mean, I'm just being honest. So that's kind of a miss for me in that sense. But they get me right back here with the Stormtrooper because
Yeah.
I get to be my own Finn, which is cool. And then I'm kind of like, I don't know what else I would do. So I don't know.
Well, something to keep in mind because given these are all most of the heads throughout the Marvel Legends and Black Series and all that are pretty interchangeable. And even if it's like
Yes.
slightly different, you can alter it to fit just about any body in the Hasbro lines. My biggest thing is more so that's the MCU bodies rather than like giving a comic book option. Like, I get like
Yeah.
MCU's popular and all that, but at the end of the day, I feel like a lot more people who are going to be into this and are going to pay that $59.99 price tag might want comic book bodies instead. But again, realistically, you're paying $60 for a head scan. You're probably gonna use whatever like a civilian figure or another character that you'd rather be. So these bodies that you get with it are more so custom fodder or dependent on if you're an inbox collector and you want to just have something on display on your shelf.
That's fair.
The biggest thing that I find interesting, because we speculated a little bit, off camera throughout the past week about this. If you notice, it seems they have 4 different models for the head scans, like 4 different people who
Oh,
worked
okay.
there that they used, and each
Yeah.
one has a different expression and different hairstyle. Like for instance, I mean, I don't want to assume anyone's gender, but the Pink Ranger is also
Oh,
the
it's
where is it?
Black Widow,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's I think that it
No,
might be
no,
the
no,
same
no.
person,
Okay.
but oh nope, that would do. Pink Ranger is also Spider-Man and the Rebel pilot. If you notice, each one of those heads has a different hairstyle. Pink Ranger has long hair. Spider-Man has kind of parted but off to the side, short hair, and then the Rebel pilot has short hair, but it's more got some bangs kind of going over the right eye. So it seems that they're going to have either it is going to be 100% just you send in a selfie and they do their best to match what you look like, or they're going to have multiple head types as a base for you to choose from.
So if that's the case, that scares me. Just because the create a character in like every like video game ever has not been kind to different hairstyles. Although I will give them credit, it looks like they kind of have a lot of out of these small amount of
Mm-hmm.
sample size. It looks like they are kind of hitting the mark when it comes to like a person of color. So that's cool. Sorry, Michael. I don't really see much representation on here
Yeah,
for
I was just
you.
like, you're like gonna complain about hairstyles. I'm looking at it, it's like, I don't see anything that looks like me on this list. So I'm
Yeah, I just worry that if that's too, it can almost be that like one size fit all,
Mhm.
which it kind of almost has to be
Yeah, especially
to
for the
be at
$60
sixty
price tag.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like we're gonna get more of like a Lego situation where we're gonna try to get it as close as it will, and you kind of have to use your imagination to get it, all the way there. Which I'm still not like discouraged by, but we were thinking full on 3D head scan. I'm gonna
Mhm.
send in my headshots, maybe get a modeling career after I get my figure. But those dreams have definitely been
For the record,
dashed
that was not a
for sure.
we. That was a you. This was what I thought it was going to be from the beginning. Was it was going to be them pulling from the well of the heads that they already have available, which I think is going
Yeah,
to ultimately eliminate the worry of the video game problem of created characters because but all of these lines have so many versatile head sculpts that they've done over the years for unmasked like
that's true.
characters that they could really match almost anyone's face shape and hairstyle with ease. There hasn't been a lot
Yeah,
of like problem where like oh my Robert Downey Jr. and my Chris Evans look the same kind of situation.
that's true.
So I think
I mean,
that will solve some of that problem.
I still think that that is a little bit of a pie in the sky thought because I don't know for sure if it's gonna go from the well that way
Mm-hmm.
or if this is kind of like preset because most of these characters are like the samples don't really look like anyone from you know
Well, I can tell you
MCU
right now,
whatnot.
the Pink Ranger, that hair is at least from like one of the Power Ranger like female heads. I'm almost positive it is.
Oh, I don't have
I
mine
don't
in
think
front
it's
of
one of
me,
the
but
Mighty Morphin. I think it's one of the later series that they've done because I've seen
oh,
some of
okay,
these before. So like, I know the
That's
Red
fair.
Ranger, the Pink Ranger, the Ghostbuster,
Ghostbuster one
and
kind of looks familiar, but that
and
almost maybe because it's kind of like
probably
Miles' head.
yeah, probably the Rebel True or Rebel Pilot, and then the Princess Leia. All of those hairstyles, I feel like I've seen on characters throughout the all the different lines that they're touching here in the
Okay.
past. So that tells me that they, they've got the options out there. Whether they use them all, that's a whole different ball game, because this could still be limited based on just what they want to use, because they may not want
Right.
to be able to like pull everything from
Again,
the well, or
$60.
they may not want you to potentially steal someone's likeness to make your own custom action figure. Like, oh, I want to look like Tony Stark, so I'm going to put my face
Yeah.
on Robert Downey Jr.'s head and hair. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm curious to see what the options are for this.
Yeah. That's the one. That's like probably my number one thing that I'm still like wanting to know how one, not even just what options it is, like how is this gonna work? Are we submitting a photo? Are we selecting from the preset, like doing the create a character kind of thing? Like that's like a big thing that I'm kind of curious. Also, I'm assuming this is going to be a popular thing. So how easily is it going to be to actually go online and do this? Like that's the thing that kind of alarms me as well, which may lead into the second thing, which you may be thinking this as well. I've noticed on the sample, like the photos you have that were leaked, we see Best Buy and we see Walgreens. So
Oh, I didn't even notice that until just now.
yeah, I don't
Oh,
know if that's just like a weird thing or not. So is this something that you can say, for example, buy like a digital card? So like if you want the Imperial Stormtrooper, you have to go to Best Buy, buy like the box, if you will, like empty box,
yeah,
but
almost like a
save it
QR
online for
code
a code to
situation.
read.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of worries me, but also makes sense if they're still trying to get the retailers like involved into the process. This could just be a
Oh man,
complete,
I can't
accident,
believe I
but
didn't notice that at all.
oh, I thought you saw that. I'm like,
No, I didn't. I didn't. Wow, I feel real. It's been a rough day. For the record, last night was my overnight shift, so I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep. So, not the sharpest right now. But yeah, I didn't even notice the Best Buy and Walgreens. That makes me wonder. Yeah, I feel like at that point that's gonna be maybe not even in the box, because realistically you're gonna want the figure to come in the box. But they might have like almost like PlayStation Network cards that you have to go and buy there.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's the only way to get that body, which that's gonna be even bigger pain then, because I mean those will have obviously a limited amount at stores of what they have there.
Which
So
would be odd to limit something that is kind of made to order. But
I
hear me out.
no, go ahead.
I saw I can't remember where I came across it, but it was almost like it was a joke, like saying scalpers are gonna be mad that or mad at the new line because they can't hold any value. I
Mm.
don't know what that was on one of the
It
toy
was
news
Toy
websites or
Farce.
something. Okay, and so I'm like, yeah, that's a funny joke. But then here we are now. If you want like stormtrooper,
Hmm.
well, sorry, I bought all the ones that are available at Best
Yeah,
Buy.
that's a
That
good
would be
point.
weird. That
I,
would be
I I
weird,
honestly
right?
think that's a very big possibility, because and it kind of makes sense, because this is a risk that they're taking, because
Yeah.
yes, there's a huge market for people who want to have their own figure of themselves. But at a $60 price tag, that's going to eliminate a lot of casual collectors, because a
Mm,
lot of people are already, stepping away from the line just because they raised the price from $20 to 25, and then potentially 27 to 35 depending on, online releases compared to retail releases. So, they may have created this like exclusivity for two, obviously probably the two most popular options on the table, through these retailers to generate the extra revenue that they're going to get from them, and also create that FOMO that they love to do with
yeah.
all of their imaginary, like, oh, there's not enough on the shelves for everyone bullshit. Um,
Right.
So that actually makes a lot of sense that they would do something like that just to make sure that no matter what, they make the money they need to justify this risk. Because it's not, as cut and dry as, oh, well, it's all reuse. And if they are going to use, heads that they have in the past and stuff like that, blah, 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 that doesn't change the fact that, it still costs them money. And this program itself has to be dedicated to probably a specific factory, or even if it's
Oh yeah,
in-house.
this is
This isn't going to be something that they can just be like, hey, I know you're in the middle of making this X-Men wave. I need 6 Spider-Mans with these different heads on them. I need 4 of this. Like, they can't just, pick one-offs. It's more expensive to have a one-off made than it is to have an entire, like, case of something made. So more than likely, I guess this is going to be something that's made in the States, just to offset that cost, because ordering one-offs of heads would be just a nightmare. But yeah,
lots of heads.
That tells. Oh God, that's frightening. Unfortunately, I have plenty of that here though. But yeah, that now seeing the exclusive potential exclusives there, that makes sense. That it'd be a way to offset that cost, because if you make it like Stormtroopers, 100%, people are gonna want them and their friends to be a troop of Stormtroopers on their shelf.
Oh, for sure.
And Mando is just one of the most popular, or no, the most popular Star Wars property. So that would be another one. Compared to like the MCU options are cool, but none of those characters are in any of the movies that are going forward for Phase 4.
Right.
So it's going to be probably close to 5+ years before we see Spider-Man come back, and we're not going to see Iron Man come back ever. If maybe if we're lucky for another 10 years. Same thing with Black Widow. Yeah. So those kind of work themselves out.
It did pick all the dead.
Yeah, they're like dead or like on hiatus because
or hiatus.
Yeah,
contractually dead.
Yeah, I mean they're popular characters, but yeah, it's 100% just funny.
Yeah.
Like instead of choosing like, oh, you can make yourself Scarlet Witch, who's currently in the MCU, even though I guess spoilers on that one too. But like they're just like, no, let's pick the dude who hasn't been in a movie for like 3 years, a dude who basically just came out and said that after his next movie project he wants to take a break for a few years from filming. And then you have Scarlet Johansson, Black Widow, who is dead in the MCU. So like you chose MCU, like this is another reason why they should have chose comic book characters, because at least those are timeless, versus these are all like, oh, you have to be these characters that are all not on screen for a while. Star Wars at least works because the Princess Leia body, that's pretty evergreen, and the
kind of
Rebel
hot right now if you
if you're watching Obi-Wan, and then the Rebel pilot, also another one that's pretty evergreen, but it's not going to be anywhere near as popular as a Stormtrooper, because let's be honest, whether you like the Empire or you like the Rebels, the Stormtroopers are significantly fucking cooler than a fucking pilot in an orange jumpsuit.
Automatically cool.
I will say though, one that I kind of want, and this goes with something I had an idea at some point, I'm not going to say if, I refuse to say if, when this show and this channel, makes it to a point where we're making enough money to, consider this a career option. I wanted the 3 of us to go to Comic-Con with custom Ghostbuster costumes, where instead of the Ghostbuster emblem, it has Modern Toy Fair patches on it, and then we each have our own little name tag with, mine would say Toy Fair, yours would say Games, I guess. Nate's would just say Bryant.
Wait, we have better, more creative nicknames than that.
Well, I'm just thinking of like our tags on the show.
Like I see what you mean. Like the last. Oh, yeah, I got you.
So like that would be cool, because I could easily get that custom. I could send that down to Podong, and within a week I'd have the 3 of us in custom Modern Toy Fair Ghostbuster costumes. Another thing I noticed, and I kind of get, but I also don't like. Also, one that's missing on here, I saw online a picture, but apparently it didn't pop up on their website. They also had a Black Panther.
Yeah, I literally thought the same thing as you. Like, I caught the brainwave when you looked at that, and I thought, hey, there's 3 black outfits here. Where's Black Panther at?
Yeah, that's literally the picture I'm looking at right now, is the 2 Snake Eyes and the Black Widow. I'm like, wait, I 100% saw a Black Panther in the advertisements for this.
For sure.
So I'm guessing it just, either they didn't get the screenshot in time before it was taken down, which means there may even be more options than
There could be
this
more.
available.
Yeah, there could be more.
Um, but at least it tells us that, okay, there are other bodies aside from what we're seeing, so that also opens up more possibilities.
Yeah.
But before I got sidetracked there, the one thing all these have in common, none of them have, they all have gloved hands. So that way there's zero, risk or zero problem of trying to match the,
That's a good eye.
hands, like skin tone hands to the heads. And I'm like, that's
That
smart.
is a good catch. That is really good. Yeah.
Because I
Huh.
mean that would cost them more money because all of these just have plain hands that come with all the other figures in the line. So that's a real easy reuse option versus having to be like, oh, I need this shade in fist or whatever, because
Right.
then they're not going to give us fucking multiple hand options. We're going to get one set of hands.
You
Hopefully
have to
they're
make your own.
removable, and then you get your fancy head sculpt. Which I'll tell you right now, whichever one I get, um, I mean I might get the Ghostbusters one as a separate thing to do that, but whatever one I end up getting, because I know we both know these are gonna fucking be a pain in the ass to get in the first week or month or 6 months, whatever. The body's just gonna get thrown in a pile of custom fodder because I'm just gonna get a civilian body and make my own. It's not. It's 100% not going to be. I'm not going to be running around as a
Like
Power
any.
Ranger or anything like that. I'm gonna have a little desk with some shelves with some toys on behind me, and it's just gonna be a dude in a shirt and jeans. Might even like
That's
get a little
funny.
podcast mic or something. So
Little
yeah,
microphone.
it's
You
a
already have
hundred
like I'm
percent.
sure mini computers or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
oh 1,000%. There, I have so much of that stuff on my watch list on eBay. It's not even funny. Uh,
Oh my god, I just thought about this. You do your character custom or your custom character of you, not as like a hero, a superhero, anything like that. And then you can now use yourself to play with the little toys that you have for your toys.
See,
So
he's
you
getting it.
finally get to
He's
play
getting
with
it.
your toy.
I also have a little
I'm
little camera.
excited.
I love a little camera too, so I'm gonna have like literally for like months after I get this, it's just gonna be pictures of me taking pictures of action figures in
Other
different
pictures.
poses. Um,
I'm
I'm
excited for
even gonna.
that.
I've even got it planned. I'm on a wait list with Vasco, the guy who did a bunch of my other dioramas, and that's gonna be one of the things I'm gonna want. Is I'm just gonna want like a tiny room to be used as like my office that I can set up the shelves with figures and stuff.
Yeah,
So trust
I'm
me,
excited for this.
I've been planning this since before Hasbro even thought about the Selfie series. So
They
it
just
was
made it a
it
little
was
bit more
hap-
feasible.
yeah, it was happening no matter what. They just made it more cost efficient because it was going to cost me
Right.
like $200 before, and now it's going to cost me 60. So
Now, um, just to go off of what you said earlier, though, like it's gonna be a pain in the butt to get. I have this theory that this is actually going to be something extremely popular,
oh
and
yeah,
it makes more sense with, um, like the Best Buy exclusive, Walgreens exclusive, and there could be other exclusives, very possible. But this is something that we're thinking as we're collectors. Absolutely have to have a figure with my head on it because I have figures of everyone else's heads. Um, that sounds weird, but think of like walking through Best Buy and you're just, an average person, you're looking for your hottest NSYNC album or something like that. I don't know, what the kids do nowadays, but
what year
you go,
is
"Oh
it?
my god." Yeah. "Oh my god, there's a stormtrooper. Like I could be a stormtrooper. Wait, this box here, I can pay $60, go home, make this online and then give this for a Christmas gift or like make this for my boyfriend or
Mm-hmm.
my fiance or my wife. Like this is gonna be actually extremely huge, and I don't think it's just gonna be with like you know
Oh yeah, there's
with
there's
collectors. This is gonna be
all
massive.
sorts of options out there because like you mentioned, it's a great gift. It's something that like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't know what to get my collector boyfriend because he buys everything already, and I just never know what to get him for Christmas. Buy him a fucking action figure
yeah.
of himself. There you go.
This is gonna be insane. Or just think of like people who may have been just like me. Like I loved Power Rangers like growing up, but I'm not really into collecting. I haven't really been into that. That's old stuff for me. I'm a businessman now, And you see this and you're like, oh my god, I can kind of relive my childhood of, a Power Ranger myself. So like, I think this there's literally every person in America could have one of these.
Oh
In
yeah.
other countries, I'm assuming if they sell this.
I will
But
say,
let's just
aside from the potential of the exclusives of the, them having like a network card that you have to go and buy a code for, which that gets into a whole other murky area of people just stealing the codes. So that's going to have to be, I assume it's going to be like the network cards, hopefully, where it has to be activated at the register.
activate it.
But aside from those being at those two stores, I think at first it's going to be that niche community of like the people who are collectors, and then it will grow from there as word of mouth, as like, you're at someone's house for the holidays or something,
That's
and you
what I'm
see it on their
holiday.
shelf, or like at your coworkers at their desk, and you see them like set themselves as a Power Ranger on their desk. You go, oh, where'd you get that? That's so cool. I love Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like it'll grow slowly before it becomes a huge thing. And then also, like, people will start noticing it at Best Buy and Walgreens, assuming you can find the cards. I will say,
don't forget daytime TV. It's gonna be on the news. Like Hasbro has, put yourself on your figure. You know
what the headline's gonna be? The headline's not gonna be that. The headline's gonna be Fox News, and it's gonna be like, Hasbro wants people to play with an action figure of yourself, or correction, play with a doll of yourself. and try to like be super demeaning about it.
I was gonna say Hasbro in trouble for blackfacing. The new scandal.
Hasbro accidentally sends adult toy collectors action figures of themselves with the wrong skin tone.
Oh man. I can see the headline now.
Oh hell! Even the headlines of just the previews we have here from the leaks, like I can just see it. Like Hasbro forcing wokeness on you by not having a single white character available,
making confusing children.
Yeah.
On a much a brighter note, is there anyone, like any company, that you would like to see do something similar to this, or is there something that could be potentially missing that you want as a character? And if you need a second to think, I can say mine right away.
You can go ahead. I mean, I can answer it, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I want to make myself a turtle. If Playmate had this self-awareness to not continue using the same, I'm just gonna, maybe NECA. I'll just say NECA will do this for me. Or Super 7. But this would be so cool to have like my head sculpt on like a turtle, especially if it's like,
the movie
Donnie.
Turtles.
I would even just take oh man, that would be perfect. Do the movie Turtles.
I'll make this promise right now,
and I'll hold the head right next to
I'll make you this promise right now. If this goes up and we have the opportunity to actually get them and they don't sell it in seconds, if we get you a second head, I will Dremel out the inside so it will fit on the movie Turtles.
Oh wait, you think NECA's is bigger?
Oh, 100% NECA's ball joint is bigger than Legends.
Okay. So they have bigger.
But it's definitely that's what happens when you pay the higher price point. But it's definitely doable. It will take some some fixing, but we can make it happen. The hardest part is you have to find another, because you're probably not going to want to use it on your primary Donatello. You'll want to get like a second one.
But no, so the reason why I could get away with that is, and I'll make this short, is again, I'll just be holding Donatello's head. Mm-hmm. So it's like I was in the costume.
Well, hear me out. We may also have to alter the ball joint on the figure.
Oh,
because if it's too big, because we don't know how, because these heads look pretty small on some of these bodies. So I don't know if it will fit perfectly. So we might have to shave the ball joint on the turtle down a little bit. So it's 100% doable. We can make it happen.
I might be willing to take the risk. I might be willing to take the risk.
Hey, I mean,
if I got the little tiny head on the big body,
it makes more sense.
Because it makes so much more sense.
My problem with the tiny head isn't that's gonna look weird. It's just that the ball joint might be as big as the head, so we have to
too big.
Yeah. But yeah, we can 100% make it happen. So we'll do it. We'll make you a turtle. Right, you'll be taller than everyone else's action figure though, because NECA's 7 inches.
Be 7, which is true. I mean, I'm
you're basically just Shaq, Shaq, but instead of going like a career of millions of dollars shooting basketballs, you play with toys on the internet with a couple fucking middle-aged white dudes.
I'm the Shack of toy news. Everyone knows that.
If it wouldn't be so questionable, I'd add that to your growing list of titles. But I feel like that one could get us into some choppy waters.
Not enough people watch. So then when they see,
yeah, it'd be like,
why
is this white man just calling him Shaq because he's black? Like, I could just see that fucking happening. I'm like, no, thank you. We don't need that.
I almost say make it the thumbnail, but that would also be terrifying. So yeah,
just your head on Shaq's body.
Dig ourselves out of this hole here. This Fox News
a couple more things. Oh, that's right. I never answered your question. So the question was, what would, if there's another company, or what would I want to be if I wasn't going to automatically just make myself out?
I'm guessing I know.
So I don't think there's another company I'd want to see do this for a handful of reasons. NECA can't do anything right. Everything is always a dumpster fire with them. So I don't want to ever have to.
It'll be subscription based.
Yeah, it'll be like, here, pre-order, send us a selfie and pre-order this figure. And then by the time you get it, you're going to have a different hairstyle. You're going to have crow's feet, and
I'll be bald.
Yeah, you're going to be graying and not look anything like it.
That's true.
Super 7, I don't see them ever doing anything like this because they're, they've got their niche, market of what they're going for. Yeah. Mezco I wouldn't want, because that's another thing where I'd pre-order it, give them an NRD, and then they'd just be like, haha, we aren't going to fucking ship this shit. Rest in peace, Batman 89. Because this yesterday was supposed to be when it was supposed to ship for the third or fourth time, and it didn't. Oh, okay. And everyone on the internet's losing their shit. Beyond that, there's not very many other toy companies I think could pull it off well. I think honestly, out of all the ones available, Hasbro's the one to do it. They have the mass production that most of these other companies don't. They have all of the tooling at their disposal. Like, they are the perfect company to be doing this, despite all of their flaws that we regularly talk about. I do wish there were more body options. I get why not, because you don't want to have to order one-offs of every fucking body you have. I just wish that maybe we had some civilian options. Like with Star Wars, it works because you've got stormtroopers, rebel pilots, Leia. Like, you're not doing it's not like you're Darth Vader. It'd be cool if you could get a Jedi costume, like maybe just have an Obi-Wan body or something like that. But as far as like Marvel goes, I don't think there's any Marvel characters that I'd be like, yeah, that's the one I'd want. Like, I wouldn't mind like having my head on a Spider-Man body, but I don't think I'd want it to be MCU Spider-Man. Ghostbusters,
you get like retro Spider-Man, like the
like
blue,
like the actual like legit costume kind of thing. Ghostbusters, I think, is a pretty solid choice that I'll if I can get it, I'll probably go with that. I think no matter what, I'm going to end up ordering two, because I'll probably want one that's the actual Ghostbuster to do that thing, like I mentioned, and then one that I'm going to use just the head and toss the body aside. Power Ranger would be cool. I loved Power Rangers as a kid. Like, I had all of the little like flip head swap figure things and the Zords and all that shit. But it didn't stick with me over the 20-year difference from then. So while I still think Power Rangers are cool, it's not something where I'm like, I want myself as a Power Ranger. I would like to see more G.I. Joe options. I feel like there's so many versatile like bodies in G.I. Joe that you could do a female, like the shit, is her name Jane? I can't remember. Yeah, like, I don't know. There's other bodies in G.I. Joe aside from Snake Eyes that work, like, could make a generic soldier out of yourself kind of thing. So I think there's a potential. I think either A, this is just the tip of the iceberg and we aren't seeing everything that's going to come, or B, it will grow as it like organically over time, like as it becomes more popular and they're shipping them out regularly. Like, okay, how can we make this even more profitable? Let's add new bodies, and then people, like, there'll be people who are like, oh, I can just head swap it myself, and there'll be people who are not going to want to do all that work and are going to just want to order the figure completed. So I think there's going to be options there. I do want to mention real quick my thoughts on how the process is going to work. The way I see it is I think they're going to have a UI on their website where you upload a selfie, you shift the picture into frame of like that generic like head shape that you choose, and it like takes your face, and then it will cut that out, and it will take you to a screen where then you swipe through the head sculpts that you want to put it on, and it'll show you a computer generated version of what it will look like on that head sculpt, and that way you pick which one, the best combination you think is going to make sense for you.
Yeah, I think you have high not expectations, but I worry that it's going to be much less than that, and that's very minimum.
Well,
That
the
you
thing is that
described.
they're gonna have to have something to choose the heads, because unless they're going to just completely try to match your head with by paying some employee to do it,
Yeah, I
it makes
guess you
more
would have
sense
to put
just to
that on the
have
user.
the UI available to where you choose which head you want. I'm not saying they're gonna have 100
But
heads available, but I'm saying that they might
no,
have
no, no.
20 options, and then you can change the skin tone on them.
I think what the overlay thing, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think what you're saying is perfect. You're gonna pick the hairstyle. You're gonna pick a head shape, like the cartoonish outline, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe even the character of it. And then the last thing you're gonna do, like maybe pick skin tone, and then put your picture on it. And then
I
it's just gonna
I,
up, or you just upload your picture.
Yeah, well, I
But they're
can
not
see
gonna
them
ever
still
see it
having it.
together.
I can see them doing the overlay just because it's gonna create less headaches for them. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you just upload a picture and then they fuck up, putting the face properly on the head because you didn't get the opportunity,
Non-refundable.
but then you're gonna have less people who are gonna buy it then.
No, man. I think people are gonna eat this up.
Oh, people are
Honestly,
going
I
to eat this
really
up, but
think
you're
people
gonna
are
you're,
gonna.
you're going to stop yourself from getting a max amount of people, because people will see non-refundable and they'll be like, oh, but what happens if I got a droopy eye because they the paint spray fucked up or something like that. That's a
Paint
big
don't lie.
problem. That's a big problem with the Marvel
That's
Legends right
fair.
now,
That's
and that's
fair.
why people are freaking out about the windowless packages.
That's true. That's
So
true.
like they
I
have
guess
to do
it's
something.
yeah. I just don't. I just don't expect the the editor to be that intensive.
I mean,
I
it's,
think
it's
it'll
not that
be
intensive.
very
You
very
can
light.
go on fucking Snapchat and have your face put on a fucking puppy dog. Like, it's not like
Yeah,
that hard to make.
but that's in a built-in app, and this is gonna have to be a website
Hmm.
that is
Which
gonna
is
work
why I
on
think, because we
everything.
we haven't had an official announcement stating anything of a time frame of when this is going to go live, or
Yeah,
any logistics of it. So they haven't
it's got to be
officially
soon
came
though.
out and said, this is what it is, this is how you do it, this is the timeline, this is everything. Everything we've had is leaks.
Hmm.
So the fact that they haven't, just because usually when they have like leaks, a week later on the next live stream they just say, they just put it out there. So the
Yeah,
fact that they haven't done that with this, aside from officially announcing and showing like the box art and stuff like that, that tells me that they're working out the kinks still.
yeah. I trust that they'll get it. I just don't know if it's gonna. I think it's gonna be pretty generic or pretty basic.
Oh yeah, it's 100%
You
gonna be
know,
basic. It's
to
not
get
gonna
it
be
started.
like a perfect thing, but I can see it being like, a generic thing where you upload your selfie and then it cuts out like your face from the selfie
Yeah,
as just a circle, and then it just shows what it looked like on that head. Like
yeah.
I'm not saying it's gonna look like what it's gonna show you what the action figure looks like. I'm saying it's just
Like
gonna
a
show you,
preview. Yeah,
this is your face on this head. Are you cool with this kind of thing?
yeah. Make sure you read those EULAs,
Yeah.
because they're gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry if your eyes are if you have cock eyes, I don't know what to tell you. If one eye's looking at the moon and the other one's looking at your shoe, I can't. Those are non-refundable.
Yeah. So I can see this going very smoothly, and I can see this going dumpster fire,
Yeah.
bad. But my biggest concern is I just hope that it's on a made to order basis, and it's not some bullshit where it's like, oh, we only are going to do X amount of each figure at a time. So if you're not there in the first 2 seconds, you're going to have to wait until the next batch.
I You mentioned this a couple times, and I won't take it too long, but I almost kind of envision them just having a ton of these bodies, just like big old box, like Lego
Mm-hmm.
style. You walk into the Lego store, and you just pick out
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that's what it's gonna be, and what you're ordering is the heads,
Mhm.
and they're just gonna be like 3D printing
Oh,
these things.
I 100% agree.
Box, boom, you know,
I'm just really hoping that they, didn't just do 500 of each body. I'm hoping they did a couple thousand
like
of each,
5,000.
yeah, of each body, so that way everyone gets a chance when it first comes out, and it's not a situation like, okay, you have to wait 6 months before you get another
Yeah,
chance at it.
yeah,
So
that's fair.
that's my
Maybe
biggest
with that
concern.
exclusivity, that might help.
I will
Like
say
Best
that
Buy
that
had to order a certain amount.
I will say that does give me a little hope, because with me being on a mountain, I feel like there's a chance that I can walk into my Best Buy and find that card, and it's not going to be like someone came and bought it all.
Oh, that's true too.
Assuming my Best Buy even gets it, because I mean, that's a whole different problem with distribution. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, the most important thing that I'm surprised you didn't bring up, Mister Tinfoil Hat, the logistics of legalities
Oh,
and
I
using
was
your
trying to not
likeness.
show my crazy on camera.
So I was gonna bring it up no matter what, because on last week's episode, someone in the comments brought it up, which I
Uh-huh.
thought was great, because the fact that we only talked about it for like 30 seconds on last week's episode, someone like picked that out and like, oh well, what about this, and this, which is kind of between that and the leaks is what sparked wanting to talk about it more in depth this week. Um, the legalities of, are they going to have you sign some things saying like you take the legal like responsibilities of any licensing and stuff like that by doing this? Are they going to do the opposite and be like, we now have the licensing rights to like your face? Like, how are they going to do this? Because I can't see them. They're not going to manufacture a bunch of generic figures with random people's faces on it. That's not going to happen, because there's no money to be made there. It's going to cost
Yeah.
them more money
Or
than it
is it?
would because while people like having army builders and stuff like that and random civilians, they already have that option with a lot of the characters, like the fucking Hood from the Marvel Legends line. You take off the shitty cape and he's just a dude screaming. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many options out there already for civilians. You don't really need to have a bunch of generic people. I'm just curious of if it's gonna be, you have to like show an ID or sign something away
Yeah,
or
this
something.
I guess it's true. I mean, I don't think that there will be anything like that, but it does lead to a situation of, well, in many facets of that, because one, I could submit a photo of, man, I really want to unmask, Mandalorian figure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna do,
I mean, that's expensive. You could just go buy an unmasked Mando for a lot cheaper.
I know. I was trying to think of someone who, wasn't already unmasked, but I guess that's,
I mean, yeah,
you know,
exactly. It raises the question: will you be able to
or
take a celebrity's face and put it on a
exactly.
body for like a fan casting? Like, so for instance, spoilers if you haven't seen Multiverse of Madness, skip ahead like 2 minutes if you don't want to hear this. But let's say you want John Krasinski's head on Mr. Fantastic's
Uh,
body. Can I submit his face and get that head made?
True. True. Yeah, I mean it. That's interesting. I don't think I don't think that it's gonna be advanced enough to know, but I guarantee you in the EULA it's gonna be, if you're using someone else's likeness, that it's subject to like cancel the order or something
Or
like
worse,
that.
it's subject to like, if that person decides to take legal action, you're responsible for it,
You're
not us.
responsible. Yeah,
Like, you're
that's
signing
fair.
you're
That's fair.
signing this waiver saying that you are taking the legal
Or
responsibilities of this likeness and its rights, and if you do not own this, you are responsible for any legal actions taken.
That's fair. Which means I'd be totally down to risk it, just because I'm not gonna sell it or anything. Like what?
But here's the
It's just
thing
gonna
though,
be
if you take a
on my
picture
table.
of it and then like
No,
say,
I won't share it. No one needs to know.
but that's it. I'm saying a lot of people would. They'd be like, "Oh, look at this fucking awesome, John Krasinski head that I got from Hasbro from their Selfie series." And he sees it, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I didn't get paid for
Yeah, I didn't.
that."
Right, right,
So
right.
like, I feel like that does kind of open up that can of worms, and
Yeah.
that's a legal battle you don't want, because you ain't gonna win that.
I'm like,
um,
look, I burnt it. I melted it. Okay, don't worry about it. But yeah, the fan casting thing is interesting concept that I didn't even think about. I was more so on the other side of the coin of like, how long does this stay? Like, does my face stay on? or under like not ownership, but sort of like ownership, like a temporary ownership, because technically it has to be like a temporary license in some sort of way for them to produce the
I
head
imagine
for
it's just
me.
it's a one-time license use, is my guess.
Yeah.
It's just be something similar where you
So
sign a piece of paper saying, "Hey, for this transaction, I approve my likeness to be used in this way."
right. I mean, I'll be okay with that. I still am a little worrisome because it's one thing to try and like profit off of my face. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
Michael, you do this all the time, and it's just insane. But
Profit.
the thing that I have the concern of is not necessarily Hasbro. Hasbro probably doesn't give a flying crap. They don't care. Yeah, we got your sixty
When did you
dollars,
become so
but
PG?
no, but because it's Hasbro. But here's the thing: they could then, in turn, someone can come up to them, some analytic company, and say, "Hey, what if we gave you, I don't know, $3 billion to allow us to use these face scans for our, algorithm that we're working on for blah blah blah," and stuff like that exists. There's things I don't have to go down to like the rabbit hole of, but that could grease the wheels of like, hey, we're probably not going to make this much off of it. Here goes our extra little top end, and we can just put something in there that you forfeit all rights to it, and people may not notice. But that also could blow
I
up in their face if they tried that, and people will notice. So I'm just saying, read the
s-
EULA.
so
That's
so
all I'm saying.
I, the only argument I have against that is realistically, I mean, it's for 99% of people who aren't you and don't put blurred out pictures of their face on the internet. Um, Most people's faces are already being stolen by social media and sold. So I don't think that any company's gonna be like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go spend some money at Hasbro. They're gonna be like, no, I'm already getting that shit from Facebook.
Well, Hasbro, yeah, but I mean, they're paying a price for Facebook.
Yeah,
Facebook
but
is
they're
paying
paying a
me.
price continually to get your face. So every selfie you put 10 selfies out a month. That's 10 versions of that face that I can now use in my whatever algorithm versus Hasbro's one.
Also, what you're missing though, and we this is just Facebook is the one who's under control. Hypothetically, I don't know if Facebook's doing this, but they would be building their own in-house algorithm to
Mm-hmm.
be able to identify faces. They wouldn't want to actually sell that information to someone else because it's valuable to them. Same would be with like Snapchat or uh Twitter, some other situations. They want that information in house, so they're not letting that go. No one's paying Facebook to get those faces, so this is their
I
other
think
avenue
there's
to pay Hasbro. I mean, Facebook might get it, but Facebook is they're creating this stuff.
maybe
They
not
want your
Facebook.
face.
Twitter and
Yeah,
it's
Facebook.
Twitter for sure. I
Yeah,
think is Facebook isn't just because Mark Zuckerberg's a lizard person, so he's just using it so that way they can take over the world and steal our faces.
yeah. They have to do this with metaverse. Like, how are they
Mm-hmm.
going to have? Because that's a whole nother can of worms. Is lending your face for metaverse to exist in a non-virtual or in a virtual space. It's the same kind of idea, but I just I'm not saying that Hasbro is up to anything, but I'm just saying that it could be very possible that there could be a thing of like, hey, yeah, we're gonna sell off your information because they do it anyways. Like, I'm sure
Oh
if
yeah.
you check out and you buy something, that sell information is going to another company, another
Oh, 100
analytic
percent.
company. So this is basically the same data. It's just your face.
Yeah.
So I have that concern. I don't know if it's a real concern, but for the tinfoil hats out here, Hasbro Illuminati coming soon. No, no, just keep an eye out for it. I'm actually thoroughly excited to see like the end user like license agreement because I just want to. I'm curious as to what they're doing. They might not do anything. Might not be
Yeah, it
anything.
might just be like I said, a one-time licensing use agreement kind of thing.
Yeah,
Which
we'll have to find out.
I feel like it's a
Can't
more of
wait
a
to read it.
legal mess for them to do anything more than that, and I don't see Hasbro wanting to make more trouble for themselves than it's worth.
So adorable, Michael.
Trust me, there's a
Just
lot of companies out there that like it's worth the while to like do that. I
yeah.
feel like Hasbro doesn't want to have to pay their legal team to go through and make sure that they're doing covering their bases versus just being like one time and one and done. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about anything coming back to bite us because Hasbro does not take a lot of risks in their business. Let's be real here. Their
I mean,
biggest
this is
risk
risk. This
is
is a big. This is a good risk.
this is a big risk, and the plasticless packaging is a big risk. But look at that, the plasticless packaging they offset by increasing the prices dramatically, so that way even if they lose like 25% of their collector base, they still make the same amount of profits. So this is
By
the
that
biggest risk I
logic,
think they've ever made.
they're doing something really scary because this is $60. They're like, we're gonna have to double the price because as soon as they find out what we're doing with their faces, oh, they're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
We're all gonna be meta slaves. I'm calling it now.
Yeah. So let's wrap things up just because we are 20 minutes
Yeah.
late to OnlyFigs, and I imagine we're going to have some very
I
unhappy people. So let us know in the comments below your thoughts on the Selfie series, what your concerns are, what you're excited about. Do you think it's going to be hard to get? All that fun stuff. Check us out here on youtube.com/Modern Toy Fair, where you can check out weekly reviews, the replay of last week's weekly purchases over on twitch.tv/Modern Toy Fair, which we're about to go do now. You can check us out live every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Check out all of the social medias at Modern Toy Fair. That's TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Check Jarmar out over on twitch.tv/Jarmar_games. Check out his podcast, Why Are You a Gamer, on all major podcast platforms, and eventually on his YouTube channel, Why Are You a Gamer, as well. Nate's not here, so he's not going to give you some crazy thing, but it'd probably be something along the lines of he's going to do a podcast where it's about stealing your identity to make action figures of yourself over and over and over again. And he'd have some clever name that I like, Face Off or something. But that's going to be it for this week's Modern Toy Fair. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Same toy time, same Toy Fair channel. Thank you for watching.